I work with a company called Coliseum Wrestling, and you can like actually getting to piss off the crowd, especially kids. I basically came out and I was like, I don't really get wrestling. I'm more a boxing man myself, and I respect all the greats. Jake Paul, Logan, and the crowd melted down. They got so mad, and I was like, I got him.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Trash Taste. I am once again joined by the boys, and we have another special guest with us. Do you want to introduce yourself to the crowd?
Hi, I'm John. I sometimes go by Super Eyepatch Wolf also.
Did you just wake up? You
gotta eat the mic, John.
Okay, gotta eat the mic. Okay.
Yeah, so it's got to be like very, very close.
Wait, no, that's an awkward height for you now. Now it's like a...
You know, I'll manage. It's okay. It's fine.
My phone is vibrating. One second. Let me be a good host here.
All right.
There we go.
You good?
Yeah, I turned it off.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself and what you do to our audience?
Hi, my name is John. I run the channel Super Eyepatch Wolf, and I've been making video essays about whatever the fuck for about 7 years. That's the best I can describe myself.
You started off with anime, and like over the past couple of years, you've kind of transitioned into just whatever rabbit hole you've managed to find. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I describe my career as a series of poor decisions that led places. So I don't know.
We've known
John's
each other for a while as well.
Yeah.
It's been how many years have we all known each other now? It's ages.
My God.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
It's been
Because I remember distinctly the first time I met you two and you, and
wow.
we met at Anime Expo like 2017, 2018.
Oh, was that the anituber meetup?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember you specifically, Joey, because you came up to me and you were like, "Hi, you're like really hot."
And I still stand by that to this day.
So yeah, we've all been friends for quite a while, because I would say we are some of the OGs now of the anime YouTube community. I know you hate being called an anituber now. Because,
I don't care. Whatever.
He's over it.
Yeah.
I think at this point I've just given up on trying to define anything. It's just like whatever.
Yeah, and I remember back then, John just didn't show his face at all, right? And I think it might have been like the first time I'd seen your face, and I'm like, no anituber should be this hot. What the fuck? This is
Because I remember at that anitube meetup, it was like it was pretty sizable, maybe around like 40, 50 people like kind of showed up, but it was really funny because I'd say the majority of the people who were there were just like, all right, which one's Super Eyepatch Wolf?
Oh my God.
I have to see his face. And everyone was like, yo, he's mad hot. That's crazy.
See, like I didn't know that was going to be a thing at all. Like I've been with my girlfriend, now wife, Michelle, for 18 years. Never even really like dated around or anything. And so I'd talk about doing like a face reveal to my friends, and they'd be like, it's going to be so funny. And I'd be like, what do you mean? And so then like I remember I put a face reveal video up, and I hit refresh, and there was immediately 70 comments. And the first one was, "Oh no, he's hot," and the second one was all capital letters, "old," and I was like, oh, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, you got your start, I guess. You do.
Oh my God, look at that.
No, don't show that. Wait, I did not sign a form consenting to this.
Oh God,
damn, look
yeah,
at
God
that.
damn, yeah. I remember seeing this, and I was like,
How did your jawline get better? What the fuck? How does that happen?
yeah, it's great because I look at you, John, and I'm like, all right, I have hope. I have hope. I have hope in my life. You know, you hit your 30s and you can still look
Pretty
fucking
much
badass.
like the son of guts, somebody said. Is that a good thing?
Yeah,
I don't know how we wandered into this.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah,
It's
'cause
okay. It's okay.
you started anime YouTube for a pretty interesting reason, right? Because you did it out of spite, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, completely. My entire career is built on hatred. Basically, I was like, I was listening to
motivator.
Wooly Versus, and he was talking on podcast about. Starts talking about Hunter x Hunter, which for me, top 3 anime of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking love it.
Right, Joe?
And
Hey, I've read it now. So
Oh, you've read it now?
Now I know.
Oh,
Now
okay,
I understand the hype.
good stuff. And he's like, he's not like just talking shit. He's going in. Like, he's like, I can't deal with this tedious shonen horseshit. And I'm like, I'm sitting there like your average video game podcast listener, just fucking seething. And I'm just like, how can you say that about the anime I like? And I feel like the healthy thing to do would have just been to let it go.
Yeah, of course.
That is not what I did, folks. I held on to it for a year and then made a video called Why You Should Watch Hunter x Hunter. Not about how he was wrong, because I thought that might be kind of shitty, but just about how I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And then...
And also how he was wrong.
Well, I mean, Loki.
Did you mention him at all in the video? Or
sorry?
Did you mention him at all in
No.
that video? Yeah, right, I thought so.
No. So that was the whole plan. You know, that was the whole plan. I'm going to make this video, and then I'm going to go back to my actual life. I can walk away from this.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen.
Right.
And mainly just because, like, I really just fucking loved making videos.
Yeah, I remember watching this video when it came out.
Yeah.
So
Really?
I think I was around when I binged Hunter x Hunter, so it was like kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy as well because you almost just like came out of nowhere, and then I feel in a very short span of time, your name was just kind of floating around in the anitube, like where it's just like there's this like new guy who made this like Hunter x Hunter video, and it's like really fucking good, and no one knows where he came from. He just like suddenly popped up.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think a part of it was like I wasn't on any like forums or a part of any community or stuff like that, because people would be asking me like, "What's your mal list?" and all any of that kind of stuff.
What's your mal list?
Oh, that was a big thing back then.
Oh, you like anime? Give me your mal list.
But I fucking loved making videos. You know, it just clicked in a way that nothing else had, and like I had tried so much shit up to that point. You know, I'd been part of an electronica band. I tried to be an illustrator. I tried to be a storyboard artist. I spent 6 months training as a wrestler. All this kind of stuff, and like it always felt like pushing a boulder uphill.
Yeah.
And then when I started YouTube, I was like, oh, there's something about this that I get that I don't get about other things. You know, that kind of way.
One thing, so I think when I discovered your content wasn't actually the Hunter x Hunter. It was actually the Bleach video that you did.
Yes.
And I gotta ask,
You have to walk me
because
through this.
Sorry?
You have to walk me through this because I've never watched the Bleach video.
Okay, so John did a video basically detailing, I think the original was like the fall of Bleach, correctly?
Yep.
How did the Bleach fandom react to that? Because I wanna ask about
So
what fandoms you've pissed off.
This video was
weirdly-
just you saying that it just fell off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So originally, actually, really positive. And I
Right.
had like kind of like Bleach YouTubers being like, "Oh, it's cool to see such an interesting like look and breakdown." But unfortunately, what I didn't know over time is like basically I was basing it all on this Shonen Jump chapter index. Long story short, no one fucking knows what's going on. There's no like, so I basically read on a website, I think it works like this, and then said in my video, it works like this. And that earned me the ire of the Bleach fandom forever after.
Yeah.
And,
13,000 comments.
yeah.
Yikes.
And the video, like, it sucked because like I was really happy with like how that video came together and like how it told a story. It just happens that the story it was telling was wrong, and I feel like I have tried to correct that in various ways over the years and never been successful. So at some point I'm like, okay, good luck, everyone. Like,
because I noticed you.
Is this real?
There's a Reddit still mad at Super Eyepatch Wolves.
I've never seen that. I can answer quite confidently, yes.
Because I feel like
the top comment is they're proud, damaged people retaliating at anything out of survival.
Okay, so like, look, here's the thing that pisses me off, right?
right.
I fucking love Bleach. Bleach is awesome. Like, personally, I think it goes downhill over time. I will take Bleach over Demon Slayer, over Hero Academia, over so much shit.
For sure.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
And the only reason I talk about it is because I
because
give a
you
shit.
can.
You know? But like, look, I did get it wrong, and that did piss people off. So I don't want to be dismissive of that. You know? But yeah.
Because I feel like a rite of passage with like anyone who does anime content on YouTube, or at least when it like we talk about anime series is like we at least piss off one fandom within our journey.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Of course.
Joey,
I think I've nailed about 8 or 9 at this point.
Same here,
You guys played Shenmue 3?
Oh shit! I wanted to ask, what was like the fandom you pissed off the most, and we can share, I guess.
So I would say actually probably Dragon Ball Z.
Really?
But I've never made like a negative video about Dragon Ball Z. Those guys are just mad.
They are mad. They're angry about a lot of things. They have a lot of anger problems.
Honestly, probably the Bleach fandom, which I mean, fair.
I mean, if they're still making Reddit posts in 2022 about why they're still mad, but they're all trying to collectively figure it out.
Yeah.
Why are we still mad, guys?
I don't know, but I'm angry.
Let's figure it out, guys. I think I learned early on when I started doing the whole Sebastian thing. I noticed that like people assumed because I was making videos on it that I understood a lot about the show, but I didn't. And I realized very quickly that people care about the show way more than I ever could. And I am never ever going to attempt to get to their level. I'm just going to be the hee funny videos that don't even try to touch it or the themes. Because they'll do. I remember people can't be like, "Oh, this character wouldn't say this." I'm like, I don't care.
But you see, this is the thing where like I feel like when I started making videos, and definitely like when like you started making videos, Garnt, like you could make a video about Yu Yu Hakusho and it would be the video on Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Now you have channels that are entirely about One Piece, channels that are entirely about Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, and like it's these guys' whole lives like reading this manga and making content out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fair play to them. Like it gets an interesting way, and there's a lot of good videos that come from that. But I think then the problem is when you try and make a video about it, then there is infinitely more knowledge about it and people who might like know the series more in depth and have more understanding. But then the problem that it comes into then is like a lot of like I guess more casual people are looking for videos where it's kind of it's entertaining, you know,
exactly.
And it comes into this thing where it's like you have an audience that wants a really deep understanding and then you want a bigger audience that just want to be entertained. And I think the disparity between those two can lead to, I would say, like a bit of bitterness with creators. And like I get it to a degree, but it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, one of my most interesting things that like I've noticed with like some of my own content, so a fandom that I've pissed off is the Fate fandom, or I would say the
the only guy who talks about it. Why are they mad?
And it was very interesting because like I made like a skit just like basically based around my experiences whenever I would have a conversation about the Fate rabbit hole and just like how like just one sentence could just start an entire war in terms of like watch order and stuff like that. And when I released that video, it was like received very, very positively. Everyone fucking loved it. And then it really started getting spread around. And it started getting spread around outside just the Fate community. And that's when I started to see people not exactly mad about the video, but mad about people's perception because of that video.
That is the exact same thing it was with me. Like I even went on some calls with some Bleach guys, and it always ended at ultimately. I was like, okay, let's hear him out, and it always ended at like, well, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at the people who agree with you. And I was like, oh, okay.
You've upset the council. Oh my god.
Yeah, because it's so interesting now because, yeah, like you said back then, because the anime community was much smaller, much more, as I would say, like inclusive. Inclusive is the wrong word, but much more manageable in terms of like what fandoms are what. Now, because there are so many different factions, so many different fandoms, a lot of fans get very protective about this one IP. You know, especially like anime fan doesn't really is like too broad an umbrella now that just didn't exist before. You know, I feel like when you're an anime fan before, that kind of encapsulated so much of the community, and now there are just people who just solely watch One Piece, for example, or solely watch Attack on Titan or the shonens.
I have a fun question. If you were to do the fall of another anime today, which one would you do?
The fall of another anime.
So like an anime that fell off.
The real answer is probably I would not do that because it leads to too much shit.
If you had to.
But in terms of another anime that it's fallen off.
The one that you felt like you kind of fell out of.
Do you think any anime has fallen off?
No, I do not.
I saw John's eye.
Diplomatic answer.
I think all anime is great. Would you like to hear top 10 facts about One Piece?
I like that. I'm just, you're like, man, this sucked. For years they hate me. I'm like, do it again. That was fun.
Honestly, like genuinely, like I can tell you ones that like I fell off One Piece, but that's not because I think One Piece got worse. It's because I got real busy and didn't have time to and like I'm going to catch up with it someday, and I bet it's still
That's
good.
what they all say, John.
Yeah, I mean, I never fall out of One Piece. It just comes in like waves. There's a wave where I read 100 chapters and then I don't read it for 2 years, and I'm like, I forget I'm a One Piece fan sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I read it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely a One Piece fan.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you're at the point where like even very milquetoast opinions get like these crazy reactions? Like someone will ask me like, what do you think about Demon Slayer? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's all right. And I'll be like, oh.
Why don't you ask Joey about his Jujutsu Kaisen opinion?
I think we did initially, because obviously it was all new, but I think now people are so used to us just saying dumb shit that they just write us off. They're like, oh, well, Joey said it, or Connor said it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other day when they announced the title for the new season of Attack on Titan, I quote retweeted and all I said was, this title's really stupid. God, the comments were just like, how fucking dare you? I can't believe you would say that.
How dare you ruin the sanctity of the final season,
right?
part 3, part 2.
You don't even watch anime anymore. You have no opinion on this. And I'm just like, guys, I just thought it was dumb.
But yeah, like that's why if I don't really like something, I try not to like say my like opinion, even if I just say it's all right. Like even like
you can't even say it's all right anymore.
It's even saying like it's all right. It's like fandoms will jump on you for just saying you don't think it's really, really good or really, really great. Right, Joey? Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think one infamous Trash Taste clip was when Joey said Jujutsu Kaisen was like all right. Or did you use the word mid? I can't remember.
You said mid.
Did you say mid?
Just to piss off the Jujutsu Kaisen fans. Yeah.
Okay, that was the issue.
That was funny.
Was the issue.
I'm at this point now where it's like, you know, I obviously try to avoid, you know, giving any like, I guess, controversial opinions on like certain shows, but at the same time, it's really funny to piss off anime fans.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that I think people are like they hate that.
Yeah, I know, but I love it.
Also, mid is such a lazy criticism of a show.
I agree. I don't like the term mid just because I feel like it is a coward term.
I would rather someone.
I agree.
Say it's shit or say it's awesome.
Say it's shit, so you have to actually like say an opinion.
Explain why you don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to explain why I don't like a show. It might be fucking stupid is the problem, and people sometimes recognize that of me, and I'm guilty of that.
But I think sometimes, like, especially when people are watching you a lot and people really think they relate to you, they really want to connect with you on whatever they can.
Yeah.
And then it's really disappointing when they can't. Like, I remember it was basically a rite of passage in my Discord for a couple of years for someone new to come in and be like, can't wait for the Why You Should Watch Hero Academia video. And I'd just be like, I don't like that show. And they'd be like, oh. And then like the other Discord members would be like, yeah, we all thought he was going to make it.
Well, it's weird because like, I know the feeling where it's just like, you just want to make content on stuff you like. And you shouldn't, you know, healthily, you shouldn't put your opinions on someone else's opinion. You should kind of like helpfully form your own. But there is a certain sense of satisfaction you get when you watch a creator you respect say that they like a thing that you like. Like when I saw like Charlie finally get into One Piece, I was like, we did it, boys! We did it! We did it! We prevailed! Yeah. And I knew I shouldn't like have felt that much sense of pride. But I kind of did, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like getting your mate into a show or series you really, really like. Like, have you ever showed a mate like a first episode of something and you're just like intently watching them?
I don't do that anymore.
You don't do that anymore?
I can't do it. It's too much. It's like when you play like music to someone and it's like it's the longest 4 minutes of your life because you're like, yeah, it's good, right? And suddenly it starts to sound worse.
This bit's really good.
Yeah. And suddenly it all starts to sound a little more uncomfortable. and you're like, it just doesn't sound like this when I listen to it alone. It's kind of like that. So I normally I'm like, please watch one episode. If you like it, maybe we watch it together or something.
Totally.
I'm so done forcing people to watch shows.
A 30-second meme suddenly becomes a 3-hour meme when you're just like, okay, the joke's coming.
More build up in this clip than I remember.
What's when they ask, how long is this again?
Oh god.
It's 10 minutes. Oh, we're 2 minutes in. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So you started off doing anime content. When did you decide? I want to do some other stuff as well, or was that like always kind of like something you wanted to do?
So within the first year, I made like a video about Silent Hill 2, which was a big break. And I think if you go back and watch that video, I'm nearly like apologizing in it, where I'm like, guys, I swear to fucking God, I'm going to talk about Mob Psycho 100 soon, and I liked it, and it was fun. Like, I remember views-wise, the video did bad, but I was kind of like, it's kind of fun though, you know?
Yeah.
And then the big one for me is I made a video about pro wrestling, and specifically, I think it was originally called Professional Wrestling is Fascinating, and I changed the name or something. I think it's called Pro Wrestling is Dumb and Beautiful, and I Love It or something. And that was like my favorite video I'd ever made. I was like, this is so much fun, and like I got to tell this big story about Kenny Omega and the Golden Lovers and all this kind of stuff, and that was the moment where I was like, oh, I think I just gotta do what I want here, you know?
Because I remember when, I think it was maybe like the first or maybe even the second time I met with you IRL, and we were in Dublin with Aki, and I remember we were at dinner and you were like, so Joe, I need your opinion on something. I'm making this video about The Simpsons. And I'm really scared to upload it because I feel like my audience is going to hate it. And you like gave me kind of the breakdown of it, and I was like, no, I reckon you should go for it. And then you did upload it, and now it's like your most viewed video.
Oh, that is my most viewed video still. Until the Garfield video surpasses it, which is going to be any day now, which is deeply fucking horrifying. Stupid cat takes everything from me.
No, I mean, I think
That's
like
8 million views.
Holy fuck.
oh my god.
That's crazy.
That's insane. No, I think one of the reasons I fucking love your content, as a fan and also as a mate, is just like your ability to sell me on any single fucking topic at all and get me invested in it.
Absolutely.
I'll be real with you. I never had any interest in wrestling, and after your video, I still have not much interest in wrestling, but it was like you got me invested in wrestling when I should never have gotten invested in wrestling in the first place.
I feel like it is, from my own experience as well, from making a wrestling video, it is really hard to sell wrestling to people who do not have any interest in wrestling. I don't know why. It was something that my audience, I've never seen the response to it. It wasn't negative, but it was just very unusual. I've never had anything like that.
If you turn on wrestling, if you turn on the average wrestling show, you're going to see two sweaty guys in a ring, and the actual storytelling is not apparent. Like the actual cool things about it, and then like the deeper you get into it and all the great, like I would say getting Michelle into wrestling was a long-term project with me for a long time. And about 2 years ago, she said something that I was just like, I did it. She just goes, there's this wrestler called Bryan Danielson, but when he went to the WWE, Vince McMahon changed his name to Daniel Bryan. And Michelle just goes, what is wrong with Vince McMahon? And I was like, I got her.
Bring back the old name.
So I gotta know, like, you trained in like wrestling, like before he did YouTube.
Yep.
What like sparked your interest in wrestling from the beginning? Was it something you were just always into?
So I don't remember a point in my life when I wasn't into wrestling. Like when I was little, I loved like Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan much less eventually for many reasons.
He's had a few scandals.
More than a few. That guy sucks in about 12 different ways. But so then anyway, I actually worked this job that I really, really liked, and I got fired, and it was like devastating. It was like this was pre-YouTube, and it fucking sucked. And I was like, okay, I thought I was like kind of following all the right paths and doing all the right things like professionally, and now I kind of have nothing, and especially like I knew my confidence was super low, and I was like, okay, fuck it, pie in the sky, what do you want to pursue? Like, what do you want to go after? And I was like, maybe I could be a wrestler.
Try it
and
out.
so I looked it up, and there was actually this wrestling school within like 3 miles of my place.
Right.
And so I just started training there for like 6 months. And the only reason I stopped is like, that shit is so hard. And I say that as someone who has done like contact martial arts pretty much my whole life.
Right.
Professional wrestling was like the toughest training I've ever done.
Damn.
Because like with martial arts, the objective is to not get your head kicked in.
Yeah.
This was like, no, you're gonna get fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and the only reason I stopped is because like YouTube started to kind of become a thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta put my whole ass into one of these things, you know?
You can't just spread yourself thin. over
Yeah.
things.
So like that's a badass origin story. Imagine training to be a wrestler and then I'm gonna make anime videos.
I don't know if badass is the word
I mean compared to anyone else I know in the anime community, I'm like,
Just
yeah.
imagine you throwing some dude around the ring thinking of
Yeah.
being pissed off about Hunter x Hunter. They're like, I'm going to make a fucking video about this and try to get it out.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Vessi. Sometimes I get invited to outdoor trips, and I often don't know which shoes to bring. But thanks to Vessi's, I don't have to worry about that. They are pretty much perfect in every single season, and I've traveled across Japan and every single season in Japan with my Vessis. As any of you know who watch the show a lot, we all love our Vessis, and we wear them all the time, and every single picture you'll see of us in the past year or so we'll be wearing Vessis. And for good reason. It's just an amazing shoe. Sometimes you've had those moments where you've just been caught in a downpour, and luckily when you're wearing Vessis, it's not a problem. And Vessi's new Soho sneakers are 100% waterproof, made with advanced materials. And the Dynamex technology incorporates the latest in footwear technology, offering breathability while maintaining its waterproof properties. I love their laceless shoes, and I've worn this one for about 2 years now, and I can swear by it. So there's pretty much no reason not to grab yourself a pair of Vessis today. So if you want to keep your city adventures going, rain or shine, you've got to get yourself a pair of Vessis. So don't waste any time. Go to the link in the description right now, or type in vessi.com/trashtaste to get a pair today. Back to the episode.
Would you do any like, YouTuber like kind of like sporting or boxing events like becoming a thing now? Would you ever consider doing that, especially with
Yeah,
your
totally.
kind of like what we
I
need?
would be very afraid of your opponent. I feel like you have the drive that is terrifying. If you could make a video like that about Garfield, what could you do if you actually had to fight
What
someone?
could I do to the human body?
I just don't want to know.
do you have like a dream entrance you would make if you like ever did like a sporting event like that? Because you love your wrestling. I know.
I think the problem is I've had a couple over the years. I think, you know what? Rather than going for like a big heavy theme song, I think it'd be kind of badass to walk into Guts' theme.
Just like slow somber,
like real Undertaker slow steps.
That would be so badass.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, because like you obviously made a video, about Berserk as well. Would you say like, do you have like, I know this is a fucking question every anime YouTuber hates, but you're on a podcast, I gotta ask it. Do you have like a top 5 or like things that like anime that mean the most to you?
Oh, so I think Berserk is like the best story ever.
Yeah.
Like fucking
hands
period.
down.
Yeah.
And I read books. Real
books.
I think Berserk is legit like the best thing we as a species have done. I fucking love it so much. But in terms of like, say, anime, I could probably do a top 5. I think my top 3 are like Evangelion, Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cowboy Bebop, number 4, and I could probably pick something number 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be kind of the rough one for me.
Hell yeah.
Good
choice.
respectable list.
Yeah, very, very respectable list.
Definitely.
But,
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I said, I gotta ask, how the fuck did you go into Garfield? What was all that about? How did that happen?
I don't know, because as I explained in that video, I never had any okay, no, actually, it was when I think I was like, someone was telling me that there was a lot of weird Garfield shit online, and like I love fandom. I love people taking this license and doing cool shit with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just fascinated by that process. I love fan art. I like love anything that's kind of transformative like that. And someone sent me I'm sorry, John. And I was like, oh, weird. And I was like, my thought at the time was like, I should do like a little 20-minute video about this.
What do you want to explain
Or
what that
slash
is?
I'm sorry, John is like a subreddit of the most fucked up fan art you can imagine of Garfield.
Is this one of them?
Well, actually,
Oh God, what is that?
yeah. So yeah, it's that. There's another one called /I'm really sorry, John.
Oh my God.
Really don't advise people look at that.
Oh, God.
And so, but like, I just became fascinated with like, how did we get
did they
to
get to this
this?
point?
Yeah.
And then like, I remember I was my mom was asking me what I'm working on. I was like, I'm playing around with this idea of Garfield and like, you know, this weird fandom around it. And she was like,
no.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's been banned from Reddit.
Oh, it's been banned from Reddit.
as someone who spent a little time on there, rightfully so.
God.
But I said to my mom, and she was like, "Oh yeah, because you used to have your little Garfield teddy," and I was like, "No,
What?
no, I didn't."
Oh no.
And then she was like, "Yeah, you did," and I was like, "I think you're thinking of like my cousin," and then she was like, "No, you did." And then I was like, I fucking didn't. And then she sends me a photo of as a kid holding this Garfield. And I'm like, what the fuck? And at that point, it kind of triggered the idea
prophecy.
that like Garfield is this kind of
Ever
eldritch
presence,
being,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And it just became such a fun narrative to make, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because do you have like a process in terms of like how you come up with video ideas? Because, you know, it started off with anime and now it's just like fucking anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is it just kind of like where you can find like an interesting story, or is there
It's-
something that draws you?
It's just, I get an idea in my head and I can't get rid of it. And I
Yeah.
think at the point where my friends are like, would you fucking stop talking about this? That's when it's like, I should probably make a video
Oh
about
my
this now.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's actually kind
wow.
of sick, though.
That's kind of
Yeah.
sick.
Oh, a lot of it's really sick.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it's so cool.
That's so sick.
Because you did one on Garfield, you did one on Sonic as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Remember the day? remember. I was like looking up all parts of Sonic, and there's basically a day I basically had to go on Pornhub and be like, let's see what's on Pornhub, how much Sonic porn there is on Pornhub, right?
Oh, God.
And
we don't need to search it up.
I'm like looking at all this stuff, and I get a phone call from my dad.
Yeah.
And like my dad will usually call me when like it's something kind of serious. Like he's the one who'll be like, okay, he's like, John, listen, there's this global pandemic starting. And I think we're all probably gonna have to stay inside for a little while. And just so you know, don't go outside. And it was like a really harrowing phone call.
Right.
And then like I'm like, okay, cheers, Dad, I appreciate it. And I hang up the phone and I turn back to my monitor. And there's Rouge the Bat sucking Shadow the Hedgehog stick. And I'm just like,
No, I understand.
oh,
that.
my
Thank you.
job's fucking weird. You know?
It's like, don't call me, Dad. I'm working.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
I wonder if I've ever had that I'm trying to think back now if I've ever had that realization about how weird my job is. I've never had that moment where I'm just I mean, you do some weird fandoms. One video I found super fascinating is when you go into like real life kind of like the, you know, kind of like the fake martial arts. That was like one of my favorite ones as well, just because I also grew up watching like a lot of martial arts films and stuff like that, and just seeing how deep this rabbit hole went.
It's so weirdly prolific.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, like, you would think, so for people who don't know, it's like basically these people who think they have magical powers they got through martial arts, and they do like the no contact KOs and all this kind of stuff. But the weird thing, it's still popular. Like, there's people who still really believe that stuff.
How'd you go about researching a video like that? Because that's such a neat
Yeah, like where do you
topic.
start?
Yeah.
So
Not
it
Pornhub,
originally
I
started
guess.
on this Instagram called McDojo.
Right.
And the term McDojo is kind of like, there was a lot of like strip mall karate dojos like in the 80s who would just teach whatever the fuck. And like the big trick is like the sensei, the master would always be like, now I can never fight you because I would kill you, you know. And it's like, okay. And so like I had done martial arts, I'm black belt in Taekwondo, did it for about 10 years, and then I took up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I just love martial arts, I love fighting.
Right.
It's fun. And I started watching these videos and I was just kind of obsessed with it. I was like, this is fucking insane. And I remember I heard one of these instructors give this like speech to his students about how it's very important that I never fight, because that would be like bringing a gun, you know? And then like I thought of it, I'd been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a little while at this point, and I thought about how many times my instructor has just beat the shit out of me. So I was like, well, this doesn't really add up. And it was an interesting video. I remember I got an email after that video from, I don't want to say which martial art it is because then we'll get a bunch of comments about it, but someone claiming to be a master in a certain martial art, and he was like, here's how a fight between me and you would go, and he explained step by step everything I'd do and then he'd do. And it was like 4 paragraphs, and then I messaged him back being like, okay, where do you want to fight? Nothing.
So fucking funny. Give me a time and a place. Yeah, because there was like the martial arts, and then there was the psychics as well, right?
Oh, the psychics.
I love that video.
Yeah.
That was depressing to make because it just I thought
take
it was
advantage of people who are in
like at the start I was like,
positions.
this is so silly, and then after a while I was like, this is like really preying on like some of the most sad and hurt people, and so I really wanted to. Then I thought, okay, this video is actually like, I should definitely make this because it was just really shitty, you know? But I feel like that's what happens with a lot of internet stuff, like that, the fake martial arts and the influencer video, they're all like the same scam, you know? It's all finding these people who really want something and they don't really have a good grasp on what's missing from their own lives, and then taking advantage of it, you know?
I mean, that's kind of how a lot of cults prey on, like, you know, vulnerable individuals who are missing something in their lives. Because I did because I did watch so John made a video kind of like doing a deep dive into influencer training courses, right?
Yes.
Where you did a bunch of influencer courses and you kind of like tested how effective they were. And I'm really interested in that because did you see anything that, as a YouTuber yourself, you thought was like worthwhile advice, or was it mostly just kind of like surface level bullshit?
Ninja told me to dye my hair.
You did do it.
And you did.
And you still do it to this day. So clearly that was a solid...
And look at that, now you're on Trash Taste, so it's worked out for you.
Like, no. Like...
You can't possibly give someone the specific advice they would need in such a generic way. There's no way.
So you see, I think the
no
problem
way.
is like a lot of these guys, they are incentivized to make you believe something, and if you do not get those results, that's proof that their shit doesn't work. But then then they develop, you know, like the grind set, like, oh, it might not happen straight away, but you know, you keep at it and you keep buying these courses, and it's like, it's a very insidious thing, I think. I feel like in terms of like actual advice I got from it, I mean, I thought it was all garbage, but I do understand, like, I'm kind of an outlier with a lot of YouTube stuff. Like, I think if you were to give general advice on YouTube, I probably do none of it and succeed in spite of myself, you know?
I mean, you can only really give generic advice to a mass audience. You can't really give... because I feel like everyone's journey and everyone's way of approaching it is so different. And
But there actually was a really interesting video by, I think it was Ludwig. And he was like, can I create a viral video from nothing? So not using any of his clout or any of his... And he actually did it. And so like there is like a kind of counterpoint to something like that, but what I'd say to that is like,
is it the one where he sent it to I know what he did.
But what I'd say is like, that's Ludwig. That is one of the most like creative and intelligent people in terms of making content.
He's smart because he figured out that streamers would watch videos if it's talking about them. So he just paid a streamer a bunch of money to get it in front of him, and of course he's going to watch it because it's like, this is why this streamer's a genius. Which is smart because he realizes that all streamers have egos, which is true.
I mean, I think it's interesting because I do think there is genuine advice that you can give to like be more successful on YouTube. Kind of Ludwig proved it, and I remember I've seen a video recently of someone who like tried to make a video to prove him wrong, only for that video to like blow up. So like by taking his advice. So you know, it generally you can do things to like put things in your court. The problem with courses is that by the time a course is finished and like done, it's like a lot of the information is probably out of date, you know, because YouTube is like constantly changing, and what is relevant and what works today is not going to work like I think 6 months down the line.
That's
Yeah,
totally.
and it's like there's not stuff you can't do to improve your chances. Like, you know, develop a good thumbnail, develop like a compelling title, structure your video well so that people want to keep watching it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the concept I had a problem with, it's the industry that built up around it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like seeing some of the videos
It's
that
like
you put.
self-help books as well. It's the same kind of spiel, you know. It's like you can do it. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. Did you have another point? Sorry.
No, that was it. That was just
Okay,
it.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's just like the way it was like, especially some of the influencers I saw in your video, the way it was marketed to be like, you do this, you will be guaranteed to make $10,000 or you can, you know, and especially seeing some of the ways that the cost breakdown was like sold to you, that I was like, they are being very generous with their numbers as someone who works in
You
the
get this
industry.
many views, X amount of time. If you just do that, and it's
Well,
like,
like,
okay.
I feel like ultimately, like, the test of that video that none of them ever took me up on was just like, okay, release your actual success rates. Don't like cherry pick one person out of like 1,000. Show like the actual rate. And I said, if it's over 50%, I'll delete the video. And I would. 100% would.
Yeah.
Never, no one ever took it up.
Of course,
Yeah.
I'd be amazed if it was over like 1%.
yeah, completely.
Yeah, because like the thing about being a successful YouTuber, I think, is not just having like one video that blows up. It's being able to like consistently do that, and that's like the fucking hardest
That
thing.
is the hardest part.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe most people have one viral video.
Oh, I genuinely believe
because
that as
everyone
well.
has that thing they love that they probably have a really interesting insight on,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
hate, you know.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I can assume you guys as well, the most help I've ever gotten is just from those camera dudes on YouTube or lighting people who just give you, they're like, actually just do this, put these settings on your camera. I was like, that is so much more helpful than anything else I've been told. Because I can, you know, I feel like storytelling and that kind of stuff, yes, you can be told how to do it, but you really need to actually do it and kind of see what they mean, like when you hear all this stuff.
Try it out and like kind of
you
experiment with
you
it,
make
right?
videos
Yeah.
and you kind of get a feel for that yourself, but like actual technical knowledge that is very helpful, and then like a deep dive into softwares or stuff that actually just breaks it down. That's all free and available on YouTube. And the best part is that we live in an age where if you have a very, very specific problem, you can just type in that exact problem and you will get a 5-minute walkthrough explaining how to do it.
Totally.
And that was so much more helpful than anything I'd ever saw of make videos you like, be positive, be promote yourself.
It's always the
fuck
channels
that.
with like 10 subscribers and a foreign accent, you know?
Yeah.
That are like
Well,
the most helpful. It's like, oh, thank God.
You mean like the Indian tutorials on math that they like online? When
Yeah.
you,
Those are goated.
Those are goated.
got me
Khan
through
Academy?
university. Yeah.
It's the best.
Oh my
Somehow like an Indian tutorial about explaining some like complex engineering
Oh,
concept
insane.
was way better than any of the lectures I got.
They just
you know?
dude, I don't know how they do it. I was paying thousands of pounds for that, and some guy in India did it for free.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Bokksu. Bokksu delivers the experience of tasting authentic Japanese snacks, candies, and teas sourced directly from centuries-old small family businesses right to your door. Their mission is to empower Japan's traditional snack makers by sharing their authentic food and stories with the world. Bokksu is a premium Japanese snack box. The first Bokksu you'll receive is called the Seasons of Japan. Think of the greatest hits of flavors. Following the Seasons of Japan, you'll receive a new monthly themed box like this one. And this month's theme is Luminous Tokyo, given that Tokyo is iconic for its bustling streets with iconic lights. And every single box comes with a cultural booklet that shows you where your snacks come from and teaches you more about the flavors. I love my Japanese senbei, and in this box includes mini curry bread senbei, and oh, no, it's so good. But if sometimes you get that little sweet tooth like I do, the steamed Castella custard cream is something you're not going to want to miss out on. So what are you waiting for? Get your very own Bokksu today and get $15 off your very own Bokksu Japanese snack box, and support our channel by using code TRASHTASTE at bokksu.com. That's BOKKSU.com. That is BOKKSU.com with code TRASHTASTE for $15 off your first order. Back to the episode.
One thing I want to ask is every time we hang out, especially if Sydney is here as well, you guys always bond over like horror movies and horror media.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, what do you find the appeal in like horror movies? Because I've been someone who's like never been into horror movies, and I've never understood Sydney's fascination with it. So I thought I'd ask you instead.
Okay, so like there's a couple of things. Like once you've seen enough of any like genre or medium, you start to understand the subtleties to it, and you start to appreciate like the little differences between it.
Yeah.
But like, so like there is that side of it, but a broader side of it, like there's two things with horror. I think horror out of any genre is about like breaking rules and taking down boundaries. So something like Halloween,
Right.
it's like this whole society that is set up to protect you, it can't against this one dude. It is like this nightmare scenario where like you're fucked, you know? And like there's something to that, like I don't know, like just the kind of like the break of normality. But then another part of it is like when a horror movie is really well done and really like scares the shit out of me, it doesn't matter what's going wrong in my personal life or the work I'm stressed out about or like, you know, this issue I have with some person or whatever, because in that moment I'm like, this dude's fucking family's been kidnapped and they're gonna die. Like it replaces whatever anxieties you might be feeling in normal life, you know what I mean? And so I like that. There's like a relief to horror.
Right.
What would you say then is like the best? Because I'm kind of the same way with Garnt, where I'm like, I'm
what
a
do you think are
massive pussy.
some like we're both. What do you think are like some? I guess like if you were to try and get someone into horror, what would be some like movies or shows or media you would?
What's the best horror movie
recommend?
for non-horror movie watchers?
So I think if you haven't watched a lot of horror movies, I think slasher movies are generally a good way to go because they're kind of like the Death Note in that like you can show them to someone normal and they'll get it. The rules are simple and like so something like starting them off with something like I think Halloween. The original Halloween still actually kind of rules. Scream, the original Scream is still a really good time. And from there it's like it depends like, you know, what that person reacts to. The original like Nightmare on Elm Street, like there's a lot of those kind of old like mega blockbuster ones that are great. Because I wouldn't necessarily start someone off with like The Shining, because like The Shining is just a film that's trying to fuck you up the entire way, and like it can be kind of upsetting in that it's like someone who's not used to spicy food nearly, you know.
That's actually a brilliant
That's a great analogy,
That's exactly what I am. Every time Sydney puts on a horror movie, I'm like, Sydney, this is way too spicy.
I said that and I was like, well, that's a stupid fucking analogy.
I wish I could get into horror. I'm not afraid of it at all. I just don't. I don't know. I never feel compelled by anything in horror.
Do you not get scared?
No, not at all. I never feel. I never really care.
What about
for
with like horror games?
Because
that's like kind of a little bit different, right? Because you're a little more engaged in it.
Yeah, horror
like,
games
directly.
I do find a bit more engaged.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes it's fucking terrifying.
Do you count Fear and Hunger as a horror game?
I think that's just an anxiety game. It's not a.
I mean, I think the first time I ever encountered the Crow Mauler, I shit my britches pretty bad.
The most scared I've been playing a game in a long time.
Right.
But I mean, we can talk about that for like 10 hours. I mean, I can. So
yeah, because I think you got Connor into Fear and Hunger.
you broke
right?
me. You broke me.
Yeah.
Your video fucked me up, man. I'm so addicted to that game now. I saw your video. And there's a lot of videos that I watch of yours where I will watch the first 2 minutes and I'll be like, okay, I don't want to watch the rest. I want to experience this thing. And sometimes I actually forget to go and experience it. So really sucks for the YouTube algorithm. Because YouTube's
You're really
like,
fucking up his watch
YouTube must think like, man, this guy hates this video. Whereas the Garfield one, I'm like, I'm never going to get into Garfield, so I'm going to watch this whole thing. But like the Fear and Hunger one, it was like 2 minutes in, I was like, okay. I had a stream that day. And I had something else planned, and I was like, you know what? No, fuck it. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna play this game. And I remember when I was told the viewers, I was like, okay, guys, we're gonna play this game. John made a video about it, and it seemed fucked up. And everyone was like, oh god, oh god, oh god. But then there was only like 4 people because no one else knew what it was.
I saw that. I watched part of that stream, and I saw you being like, wait, there's dicks in it?
Yeah, I was like, wait, I didn't see that in John's video in 2 minutes of that. And so I was originally going to play it uncensored until people were like, the people who had played it were like, please play this censored, please. And I realized, okay, well, I'm going to make this into a YouTube video, so I should probably play the censored version. And immediately I was terrified, just right away, because it was just like, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking horrifying. What do I do? I'm getting fucked by everything, and I don't know where to go. And the sounds sounds in that game are just the worst. And there's this track that plays initially, and the first time it plays, I feel like it terrifies everyone. And everyone I've watched play the game has the exact same response. It's the one where that dooming noise, the booming like kind of. It's like a bass that kind of gets louder and louder. Initially, you feel like something's about to happen, and it never does. But it keeps looping, and it's horrifying. And not to mention there's these dogs that chase you initially, and they're he needs to fucking balance the audio on these dogs because it's so loud. These dogs, and it's the most violent, crunchy dog sounds. It is horrifying.
Right.
And then you lose to a coin flip, and then you're like, what the fuck is this game?
How did you first find Fear and Hunger?
So the first time I ever saw it was like, I think it was like some guy doing like monster lore videos on TikTok.
You told me this. I couldn't believe this is how you got into it.
What? And I can't even remember which monster he did it on, but I was like, that game seems kind of fucked up. And then like a couple of weeks later, there's this YouTuber I really like called Madular, and Madular does like a lot of old and weird games. He did a video on RPG Maker games, and he had like a little section on Fear and Hunger, and he's literally like in it. I just want to say, fuck the people who made this game. Like, he liked it, but like he was doing a bit where he was like, what the fuck is wrong with this game, you know? And then I was like, oh, this
sounds like my kind of game.
Yeah.
Say less.
And so then like I played a little bit, and then like I kind of played about, I think, 10 hours of it, and I was like, yeah, this seems pretty cool. And then like there was another video, I think, by a guy called Oldman TV that went a little deeper on it, and that kind of convinced me to like get into it properly, and then I was just obsessed, and then I just made the video because I was like, well, here's a fun way to spend a month playing this game.
Fair.
What blew my mind most about that game is that it came out in 2018.
It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
And it's so terrifying to think that it took 5 years for this game to really start getting some serious traction.
Yeah, for sure.
To think about how many amazing gems out there have just been lost.
Oh,
and that we will never ever hear about.
I feel especially in the RPG Maker world
Dude,
as well.
Yeah,
there's
like,
probably so many games.
You have to imagine there are games out there that would have done like what Undertale did that we just don't even know about.
Yeah,
that just no one's ever played, or
Video
5 people have
games.
played.
Yeah.
And just because I guess sometimes you just need the right person to see it to start that chain reaction,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And it's tough, but fucking TikTok.
Fucking TikTok strikes back.
Listen, I watch too much TikTok.
Yeah, but it's like the fascinating thing about that game is that you play the game, and like you said, you get 10 hours, and you have an experience with it, and you think, wow, okay, I've played this game, and then you watch a video, and you're like, I did not play this game. I had a very different experience, and then you play it again, and you watch a lot of lore, and you think you understand everything, and then suddenly you find more information out, and everything keeps changing your complete understanding of the game. And it's really, I was saying to you the other day that I think it's really fortunate that the second game is already out, because I felt that it added a lot of really cool layers of story to the world that is already fascinating, and we didn't have to have that whole thing of when's he making a second one, when's another one coming out.
I mean, fair play to that dude who was like believed in his game enough that even though like it never blew up huge, he had a second one ready. So then when the first one did blow up,
it's crazy. I loved your the one thing that you said that sold me on it was that it was only popular in Russia, and I was like,
that's how you know it's fucked up.
yeah, I was like, oh, it must be messed up. That's how, because they only like fucked up shit. And yeah, I think Undertale meets Berserk was a great way of explaining it to some people. I mean, it wears its inspirations very heavily on its sleeve, which some people criticize. Which I think it sometimes can be valid. But
I mean, I think it's that thing though, like, you know, when something is really like reference heavy, and like some people love that, and sometimes it's like, who fucking cares? Like, I get that a little bit.
Well, you played the second one. There's a lot more references in the second game than the first game.
Yeah, and when you say references,
well, references,
they're just it's just Jotaro.
Yeah, Jotaro is just in the game.
Yeah.
What?
I'll show you a picture.
Yeah,
I'll show you a picture of this. Okay, let me.
Well, just like the model of Jotaro is in the game. Like, is he a playable character or what?
Okay, let me. This guy. This is Marco from.
Oh my fucking god, that's Jotaro.
And he uses his fists only. This is him.
Oh my god.
There's also another character who is a goat, and he. Yeah, that's him.
God.
And then there's you can type in Fear and Hunger Levi, and. You can see.
Holy shit!
He looks a little bit like Levi. He's not as. I think Jotaro is the obvious one.
No, but this one's kind of giving the vibe.
Yeah,
but like, and the second game is set in the Termina Festival, a festival that has a moon that comes closer to the Earth. Which
really,
and obviously
it's crazy because like it does have all this stuff.
It doesn't
but
feel
also,
crazy, though,
It
yeah.
doesn't feel like anything else.
Right.
Like it actually does feel pretty cohesive when you're playing it.
It's super weird, yeah, because like that. And then there's also like the herbs. You mix red and blue herbs to make healing potions, like in Resident Evil. And there's so many things that feel slightly familiar, but it somehow makes it feel so fitting, and it doesn't feel that way at all. And man, my God, does it have just some of the coolest fucking lore of any game I've ever played.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right.
Super cool.
Is there any other like horror movies or things that have like stood out to you that you've watched recently?
Recently, oh man, I watched a film called, I think, Soft and Quiet recently, and it was like, even by my standards, it was like, probably shouldn't have watched that. I guess if you like extreme horror, it's one of them. I don't even want to get into it. But yeah, even I have my limits. And that was, I felt bad because I was like, Michelle, do you want to watch it? And like she's learned to
that was fucked up.
It's really fucked up, and it deals with some pretty awful shit.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting. Well, I'd never seen that before, put it that way.
The like to dislike ratio.
What do you? Because there are a lot of horror movies. Because I've seen these YouTube videos that are like top 10 most extreme horror movies, like horror movies that maybe go a bit too far. How do you, what do you think makes a horror movie that like? How do you like kind of dance that line?
So
of not going
I would
too
say
far?
like I think the idea of like extreme horror movies gets like. It's a good way to get clicks and stuff, but what I'd say is like I've been watching horror movies a long time, and to me, like, I don't really give a shit if a movie is extreme. I care like if it's doing interesting things, because like you can make stuff that's like not that gory and not like that kind of like bloody or anything. Like the Shining doesn't even really have any violence in it. There's no point where anyone hurts another person in The Shining, you know? There's a lot of fucking weird stuff, and like that's the kind of stuff I really love.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one I've enjoyed recently, I don't even know if this counts as a horror. I think it might be more a thriller, but what's it called again? It's like The Chef or The Table or something.
The Menu, I think
The
it's called.
Menu, that's it.
The chef.
The table. The table.
He's got something cooking. Let him cook.
Who let this man cook?
Do you guys want to write this movie when we're doing
The chef.
Just recreating the table, but it's
There's
just
a movie called Chef Garnt. There is a movie called Chef.
That's probably why I thought of that.
It is not a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a really interesting concept, and it's kind of like a satire on like the fine dining culture.
I liked it.
And it was just very well acted, you know?
Yeah, it was fun.
I've noticed that it's been on every single plane I've ever been on. The menu is on every single viewable device known to man. I don't know why. It's much. I think people are just watching it from there.
Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, I liked it. I wouldn't. For me, that didn't feel like horror though, in a weird way. I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely. I don't know if it was a horror or a thriller. It very because maybe because it wasn't very gory. You know, that's to me. It's still like
Not a fan of gore.
It still like unnerved me, which is what I like with the types of horror movies I like when it's like unnerving.
Like same thing I was gonna say, where it's like if it's interesting, it's interesting.
right.
But like I wouldn't just be like, what happens you know?
Recent horror movie I watched, I guess, or maybe it's more of a thriller, was the new Ari Aster film, The Boiis Afraid.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's fucking weird.
That is like the only thing I've heard about it. It's weird, and it's like 3 hours.
It's like 2.5 hours. It's one of the weirdest films I've ever seen, but like it's almost amazing. It's one of those films where it's like it completely depends on the mood, where it's like you could watch it and be like, this is just nonsense horse shit, or it could be, this is an absolute masterpiece.
I've always preferred horror when it's more of a kind of human element to it, and more of kind of relationships and how that could be construed into horror,
Like the psychological aspect.
Yeah,
right?
you know,
totally.
I think
totally.
I'm trying to think of some examples, but I can't off the top of my head. But yeah, I'd much prefer that as opposed to fucking ghost that haunts you and turns you into a zombie.
What if there was a ghost with a gun?
Basically, you like the ones where it's like, and humans were the real monsters all along.
I just like it.
Damn it again.
Yeah, I mean, I just like it when it's like unintentional, or like it's like, you know, it's just horrific because it's kind of like, wow, yeah, we are kind of fucked up, aren't we? We do kind of occasional fucked up stuff.
Yeah. Like the more like believable shit, you mean, right?
Like the Invisible Man, I thought was pretty good. In terms of like the possessiveness of an ex-boyfriend who is fucking psychotic, and how that could obviously you use the invisible way as a kind of tool to kind of push it forward, but like you can kind of understand
that
that
dude's
is
still pretty scary if he's not invisible.
He was terrifying when he was invisible, and the idea and the thought of, and I just loved how. It's this whole thing of he's invisible, but obviously the horror behind it is that he's just so fucking creepy and intense.
But like, I mean, that's the thing about horror. Like, you can, like, no matter how fucking zany it can be, like someone being invisible, you can ground it in something real, and like that resonates, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I have like this soft spot for, it's not just horror, but just like low budget films where they have to like make films with a constraint. But this one happens to be a horror. I think Sydney showed me The Invitation, I think, where it kind of, without spoiling, it kind of details a guy who got an invitation from a long lost friend who, this one, who basically, is this the one? This might not be the one, actually. I don't know. Maybe I got the fucking name wrong again.
It's probably something like The Letter or something. Like
I mean, it came out like 2 years ago, so a year ago, sorry. So it probably is.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is the exact one, but it details a guy got
2 stars.
Okay, yeah. This looks like it's the one, actually. It deals with a more psychological aspect of you get an invitation from someone that you hadn't heard from for a long time, and you can tell that something is off, and you can tell that something is wrong, and then there will be this point where the tension builds up, and then like something snaps, and then shit hits the fan, and I fucking love that.
So there's another film called I think it's called All My Friends Hate Me, and it's that kind of same thing, but it's basically like the same setup, and it's like this guy shows up to a mansion with I hope we're not talking about the same movie and I haven't got the name wrong. That's the one. And this guy shows up to a mansion, and there's just something off about the way his friends are treating him. And it's basically like the way one of my friends described it was like it's like a social anxiety horror movie.
That's what I love, actually.
Dude, you should check it out. It's so
kind
good.
of stuff is so much more interesting.
Then you would love Boiis Afraid, because that is exactly what that movie is.
There's this bit where this other guy shows, it's like the most unnerving shit I've seen in the longest time. This other guy shows up at the mansion, and he's like, well, who's this guy? He was never friends with us. And he says and the main character says something about his sister, and he just sees like this new guy take out a little notepad and write it down, and then put the notepad away. And it's like, what the fuck? It's great. It's really good.
Do you often find that horror sometimes struggles to land an ending? Because that's something I always found that I didn't enjoy with horror films, that often halfway through I felt like they often lose steam when they're kind of the initial interesting concept has to be explored more. And it kind of is like,
I do find that a lot, and I feel like it clashes with this thing in storytelling where we want explanations, and I think a lot of the times horror is weaker because of explanations. Because like the thing about horror is like a lot of it's like, what if this fucking crazy thing came into your life and you had to deal with it? And if at the end it's like, and then you deal with it, it nearly stops being horror, you know?
True.
I think one of the best endings to any horror media I've consumed, at least, was probably Soma. It's a video game.
Played Soma.
You haven't played Soma?
Everyone talks about it.
Oh my god, that.
You talked about this on the podcast once as well, I think.
That ending like fucked me up. It was kind of like, it was, it kind of alluded to something happening, and then it kind of like flipped it on its head, and it kind of like that ending is like stuck to me to this day. That's
I know what you're talking about, and it is some wild shit.
Basically, if you haven't played Soma, I hate horror media, but Soma is 100% something I would recommend you guys play. But I guess moving on from horror, so like you seem to have like a very wide one thing I've always liked your content is that you've never really focused on one thing. You've always had like a wide like I don't even know what your tastes are. Like sometimes I try to like narrow down your tastes, and I look at like some of the stuff that John does this like kind of series where you like things I've liked in summer or winter, and I'm like, this has no fucking correlation at all.
It's the most random assortment of shit.
Do you have a certain like taste or interest that you can boil it down to, or is it just kind of like
no? Not like I like. art, man. You know, I like things that I think are interesting, but I like being that way as well, you know, because like I do feel like there is correlations between things. Like I've learned a lot about storytelling through like professional wrestling. You know, I've learned a lot about like, I guess, how to structure things from martial arts, and you can take a lot of different things from a lot of different things. But yeah, I think it's one of the ways my channel is kind of weird, and it's one of the ways that I should probably never have survived on YouTube. You know what I mean? But somehow,
I don't agree with that. I think people just like having a consistent voice that they can come back to.
Sure,
Hear like a delivery on something. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. I think people just like having someone inform them, because I like just learning about stuff that I do not care about.
Yeah, and I think there's as well, like with your channel, there's always that like element of surprise of like, okay, what's
I would never
the
watch a
next
1 hour
topic?
video on Garfield from anyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like what's the next topic going to be? And then when they see something that they just weren't expecting, well, they're like, well, I mean, John made it and it's fucking 2 hours long. It must be interesting, right? And that's how people get hooked, you know?
Yeah, we had this conversation a few weeks ago on the podcast about martial arts movies. So I thought I'd ask you about this. So, like, I feel that there were, like, way more kind of, like, the prestige of, like, especially Hong Kong martial arts film existed back in the day, and I feel like they've kind of fallen off. And we had this theory that UFC kind of maybe ruined the mystique of like martial arts. Do you think there's like credit to that?
I would say there's definitely an element to that. Like I think UFC, and it was really interesting because professional wrestling had to deal with this problem as well. Because like, oh, that's what a fight actually looks like, and it's not beautiful, and it's not pretty, and 80% of it, 80% of it is two sweaty guys rolling. You know, and so like, yeah, I absolutely think there's something to that. But I also would say in that there is the capacity for martial arts movies to become the next thing, and they haven't yet.
Right.
But like, I do think you see it peek through with stuff like The Raid or John Wick 4 was a fucking incredible movie.
Sure
You know,
it was.
Gung Fu, they call it. Gun Fu.
Gun Kata.
Gun Fu.
Kata.
what was that? Equilibrium?
Yeah, Equilibrium.
The gun cat,
yeah. That was a great film
That was
as well.
fun. That was really fun.
How do you feel like martial art film could evolve into like the modern era? Because I think it's not just UFC. Like sometimes I just get recommended of like, you know, videos where it's just like martial artist tries to defend against like a knife attack, and like showing like the reality of how many times they would actually get hit, and then you realize there are just some things that you just can't defend against.
So like in a weird way, I think that actually like social media has become a huge part of martial arts, because you get like a lot of amateur fighters now who have like, you know, they're posting their TikToks and their daily routines and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see a movie kind of based around that, but like it's a weird one as well. I also think like with all the shit that's happening with like influencer boxing, that has kind of become the narrative of modern martial arts. You know?
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, okay, we've done enough influence boxing. I want to see more influencer wrestling now. That
I think influencer wrestling is very hard. I think wrestling is just super technical. I mean,
it is.
Even just trying it for like 1 hour, it was like try not to hurt yourself challenge. Hard
You do your first back bump and you're like, this is what these guys go through?
Yeah, they told me it was soft for them. And I was like, this is not soft. I winded myself when I fell. And I was like,
But
fuck.
you would know that it would just be a treasure trove of memes, just like fun, like Mr. Beast coming in with the people's elbow. It's like that should be so gold.
Yeah. What goes like you've done wrestling training before? What goes into that?
So like it is, you are working with another person doing all these like high impact moves, but the thing that like scared me was the idea I didn't want to fuck up and hurt the other person.
Right.
You know, that to me became way scarier than fighting another person. You know, because I was like, oh fuck, like I don't want to be responsible for this person's injury. But it's like it's a lot of stuff. Like when people get up, it's like you always grab the person's left hand, so you have to be very conscious of like, when I get up, my left hand has to be here, and I have to be like telegraphing this so they know to do that. I never got far enough with it to like speak on it with any kind of authority, so I don't want to. But yeah, like it's like Connor was saying, it's this massively technical thing.
Right. Because I've noticed, I've seen some of your posts, and you've done some wrestling events, right? Or when you come to England for some wrestling events.
You got like some like evil persona or
Yeah,
something?
right, yeah.
What's Bestington, right?
I Leslie Bestington, I work with a company called Coliseum Wrestling, and it's fun, dude. Like it is.
You look like
so
you're having the time of your fucking
I
life.
really am.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, like you can like actually getting to piss off the crowd, especially kids, because kids can't, they like, you know the way kids have that thing where they can't tell what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
You can piss them off so much, and they will look at you with the purest hatred you've ever seen. But like I'd go up to their parents and I'll be like, I'm gonna have to ask you to calm your child down. You know, it's like everyone's. But it's so fun as well, because like I got to do a meet and greet the last time, and so I was like, okay, what would Leslie Bestington do for a meet and greet? So I wrote autographs £400, and I just put it there. And so like these kids came up to the table, and like I was like, okay, what's your name? What's your name? And I signed 3 autographs, and then I looked at the dad, and I was like, £1,200, please. And like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what is the character that you play? Just kind of like.
So if you've seen my influencer video, it's the guy I do at the start of that, Leslie Bestington.
yeah.
Social media icon.
Yeah, and his whole thing is that he doesn't understand professional wrestling. He thinks it's silly. So the first time I ever did it, I basically came out and I was like, I don't really get wrestling. I'm more a boxing man myself, and I respect all the greats. Jake Paul, Logan, and the crowd melted down. They got so mad, and I was like, I got him.
Oh man, look at that! Oh,
That's so sick.
That looks so fun.
How many followers do you people have? Let me guess. 6.
This is me guessing their followers.
4. 1. Definitely 1. Definitely 1.
What have you done? Buddy, you did what you always do. Nothing.
That's so dope.
Oh, that's great.
It's fun.
Did this come from like? How did this start? Did this come from like the social media video, or did you?
Yeah, I just done that, and they got in contact with me and were like, "Do you want to do something?"
That's
and I
so
was
cool.
like,
Yeah.
"Yes, I do."
I would
And
love
so-
to.
Yeah,
That's so cool. Fuck,
yeah.
man. It's so interesting when you see YouTubers kind of just go into a whole nother realm. But obviously you have history in it. But it's kind of cool seeing it and seeing you do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been fun. It's definitely interesting going into like a wrestling locker room, and you kind of think you're in shape until like you go in and you're like, oh, I'm like a little boy.
Yes, they are very fucking good.
Yeah,
Oh, they
because you
really
guys have
are.
done some wrestling videos as well, right?
I did a video with Takeshita, who's like insane now. He's
Oh
like killing it.
he's done so well.
It's so funny because when I met up with him, he was just casually telling me about how he was going to go to America for a few months, and I was like, "Oh, cool." I didn't think anything of it, but he was so funny and so good on camera when I was working with him. And then shortly after, I just occasionally every now and then I'll get tweets being like, "Yeah, Takeshi's crushing it."
Yeah. Like he's not quite main event level yet, but he's like getting there.
It's
like,
crazy,
It's
yeah.
insane.
Your video was a little more interesting than my experience, because I did a Faraki's video where
You
she
just
went
got beat up, right?
Yeah, I
mean, they
put
beat
on
me up too.
I put on a luchador mask, and Lady Beard clotheslined me, and that was not fun.
Yeah, I have said this so many times, but I didn't understand that they actually hit each other, and so that when they
Yeah.
slapped me with the chop,
Oh my
which a chop is
God.
just like slapping someone's chest.
Yeah.
Not slap it. It's a bit different, but they're hitting your chest, and they do it for real. And I didn't realize this because in American ones they do this, but in Japan they love doing this. So in
And
DDT,
they have a thing called strong style, which
Yeah.
just means we're going to actually,
they actually
beat the
just
shit
beat each
out of
other
each other.
up. And for the video, I really wanted to, even though I have like a blood condition, I was like, I won't tell them that. Because I didn't want them to worry, and I knew I'd be fine. I was like, I actually wanted to get in. I wanted them to like kind of just do it on me. So I was like, well, fuck it. I should try and
Good
do this.
experience.
I also feel like if you're gonna fucking do a video somewhere, you should fucking get involved. Like you
Yeah,
should actually like
for
try
sure,
and do it for as much as you can.
So when I used to train in wrestling, I like got in trouble because one of the people there, she was like a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And we were doing like the chop circle,
Yeah.
which just means like you have to chop the person next to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, because like she was tiny, and she was
Yeah.
like, do it, and I was like. And like I couldn't do it, and then the like my trainer pulled me aside and he was like, listen mate, you have to do it, you know. It's like and like
to her,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And like afterwards I apologized to her, but like it was kind of shitty of me because she's there because she's cool with that,
Yeah.
because she
Yeah,
wants to do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I think it was just years of social conditioning where
of
it's
course,
like
of course.
I have to hit a woman.
but yeah, it was
Yeah.
Fuck
Damn.
yeah, when they hit me, my god, it's like that scene from One Punch Man where Saitama, Geno sees Saitama punching him. And he like the giant. I felt that.
yeah.
I felt death.
Yeah.
Because he hit me and I was winded and I was like, holy shit. And he's like, okay, now I'm going to do it 3 more times in a row. And I was like, what? Next day, my chest was all purple.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they fucked me up. It was really bad.
Yeah.
What a still.
Such a good still.
Such a good still.
They had me jump on this thing and it was fine, but it was when they made me jump. Like, it wasn't even jumping. It's literally just falling on your back.
Right.
And it still really fucking hurt. But bless them, they were so good, and they really like had me. Like that was terrible. Well, it was I tried my best. But they really fucking put me to work. It was really fun. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, as someone who only knows wrestling through your videos, what's like the difference between like different countries and different leagues of wrestling?
Oh, I mean, like, there's a lot of different types. American tends to be like, well, now you have like WWE and AEW, and like, but it tends to be like a little more showy, a little more like thinking about people who aren't into wrestling. Like, a lot of the times WWE will try and keep its matches quite kind of short and snappy. AEW is a bit more for hardcore wrestling. Japanese wrestling is like, tends to be. There's not a lot of like gimmicks or like storylines in Japanese wrestling other than these two men want to be better than each other. And it's kind of been that for like there is exceptions to that, but it's like that is actually to me the most compelling wrestling just because
That's
like
just Bokksu, isn't it?
they it legit is.
How long is because how long is a normal wrestling match then for like WWE and AEW? What's like average?
I'd say anywhere between 7 and 15 minutes.
See, I was watching a 15-minute fight and I felt like that was very long. I felt like that was just like.
So what I'd say, it's like an episode like of anything.
Yeah.
If it's good, it'll fly by.
True.
Right. What do you recommend to get someone into wrestling then? Where do you recommend someone would start?
Watch my videos. So like I actually hate saying that, but my answer is like watch my videos, and if you see a wrestler you like in those videos, go track down more of their matches and watch their stuff. Because like wrestling at the end of the day, it's a story about characters, and it's a story about like their long-term journey over many years and how that like combines with their real life, and that's genuinely the advice I give.
Yeah, because one thing I found interesting that you mentioned was like the separation of when someone's playing a character and when someone is like, how do you balance like the character you're playing and the person that the wrestler actually is, which is a really interesting part of the culture of that, where would you say that wrestling is on the same level as a fictional story, or does part of the appeal come from not knowing where the separation is?
I mean, like, if you're really into wrestling, the people who really, really love it, you are paying attention to the fiction and the reality.
Right.
But the problem, like, what's so interesting about it is like where one starts when you can never fucking tell.
Right.
And like you have people who think like everything's a work, we're being set up, but then it's like, no, I think this dude actually just sucks, So like but like that's what's kind of fascinating about it,
Yeah. Did you, since you've been into wrestling for a long time, did you ever have like, in school or something where it's just like, oh, wrestling's fake. No, it's fake.
I remember like going on a walk with my dad.
Yeah.
And being like, Dad, is wrestling fake? And he just goes, it is, John, yeah. and I remember just pausing and going, no, I don't think it is.
Your brain just like emergency shuts down. It's like, I will not accept this.
I think that was why, because I used to be into it when I was a kid, and I think that's when I kind of realized it was fake. I kind of felt like betrayed almost as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I was so into it.
It's like finding out Santa's not real.
Almost, yeah. It's kind of the same.
I think it's worse.
Yeah, and because it felt so real. And then I realized as I got older now, I've only really come to appreciate this in the past year or two, is that from the physical aspect alone, it's so impressive, and the feats that they're pulling off.
But like, here's
and then
like
the stories as well.
Bit, right? It's like, okay, you're little and you're watching it, and it's like, okay, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart hate each other and they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
And then you learn it's not real, and you're like, oh, okay, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are working together to put on what is basically a very painful choreographed dance. Okay.
Yeah.
But then you get to layer 3, and it's like, no, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart do hate each other, and they have to work together to put on this choreographed dance. That is wrestling. Like that's what's fucking interesting about it. Like, I'm not gonna get into it. Look up the Montreal Screwjob, most insane thing to ever happen. Crazy.
Well, now I want to know. You got to tell me about it.
Okay, give us the elevator pitch.
TLDR.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm sorry to everyone who likes wrestling who's heard this a million times. Bret Hart is the champion. He's about to leave the company and he's refusing to lose to Shawn Michaels. He's like, I'm not going to do this because I fucking hate this guy so much. They have to put on this main event show together, and so they arrange the whole match. Bret Hart's going to win, or it's going to be a draw or something, and there's going to be a bit where Shawn Michaels puts Bret Hart in his own finishing move, the sharpshooter, and to Bret Hart, he's going to reverse it and tap Shawn Michaels out, and that's going to be the end of the match. However, before that happens, they ring the bell to make it look like Bret Hart tapped out.
Oh, okay.
And you can see he's like, what the fuck? That wasn't how this is meant to go. He spits on the owner of the company. It's this giant like disgrace, and like basically backstage goes insane, and it's just this weird like blending of reality, and like you know, so there's people who will be like, that was all set up. I don't think it was.
God damn.
That's that.
Okay, that's
really
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really fucking
You
interesting.
can hear more about it in my video. Villains of Wrestling. I don't think I even said the right video title.
It's one of the wrestling videos.
It's one of the. You made like 3 now, right?
I think so, yeah.
But you not only have done wrestling on YouTube now, you've branched out into merch as well.
Yeah, it's really cool hearing you kind of talk about this like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I think,
Privately,
yeah.
we had a call, and you were like, "Connor, I'm really excited about this merch stuff," and I was like, "Dude, it sounds sick." 'Cause you were telling me about you building like a whole world around it. I was like, "That's, man, we just put a logo on stuff." Sometimes. Like,
Well, I mean, like I did that as well before. But yeah, so like with the merch stuff, like I'd have to give like a lot of credit to Otaku Versus, who kind of like he sort of talks me, because I basically like I wanted to do merch stuff, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I got talking to him and like hearing like his like explanation of everything and like what it kind of was. It really opens me up to, it's like, man, okay. So I basically like, I think like a lot of people, when I was like younger, I had this like story or like I wanted to make, and at different times it was like a comic book, a series of videos, a video game, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know, I want to do this thing. And then eventually I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this merch? Like, what if I made like a fake anime and pretended it was real and made merch out of that? And it pretty much just started from there. Started working.
Such a sick concept, by the way.
Yeah, there's been other stuff like Gorillas is kind of similar-ish, you know. So like I don't want to take like credit for that necessarily, but and like I was working on it, and then like I just explained it to one of my friends, Rebecca Brobex, on Twitter, and she was like, yeah, I'll give you a hand with that. And she started doing concept art for it, and like the day I sent her the descriptions for the characters and she sent me back the concept for the characters, I was just like, oh fuck, like this could actually be something. And it was so fun to work on, and like it's done well and people are into it, and like, you know, financially it's been like viable, which is great and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's actually something that really kind of, it made me kind of fall back in love with like content creation and doing stuff like that, because it added this whole other thing to it, and it's been really, really fun. And like right now I'm working on the 3rd run of it, which is like every run is like a new arc in this fake anime.
That's cool.
And this is like the arc where like the villain gets introduced, and like I'm so fucking I never know how it's gonna go, but like I've been so excited about it.
Yeah, so to explain your concept in case you guys aren't familiar, you kind of like telling a story through your merch, right? And
That's so
you've
cool.
built an entire world around it with characters. How long, okay, I gotta ask, how long did it take you from like, you said you had an idea of like stories you wanted to tell. How long did it take you to actually flesh out a world and a story that you wanted to tell?
So from the point where like I started doing it, I think to like the point where it's like it actually, we have a t-shirt design, I think that was about 9 months. And like a lot of, we basically with the runs we do like a kind of we do like a little zine of all the concept work and all the shit that never even makes it into the actual merch, you know, all like the kind of supplementary characters and like the world and how it all works. And so we basically just spent like 9 months building all that stuff up. Like whenever I think up a new character or something like that, I write down who the character is, what their place in the story is, and then their relationship to every other character. And that's all shit that like, that's never gonna make it into a t-shirt, or sometimes it does in weird ways, but it's the kind of thing where like I always feel like when you're watching a show, you can always get a sense for when someone has thought about like every part of this world and when someone is like kind of making it up as they go along.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
really wanted it to feel like the former.
Yeah, because sometimes, you know, that's why I like world building, because sometimes you watch a show and it feels like the world is built around this one character. And the stories I feel where they're truly magical is when, you know, you turn off the episode or you close the book and you feel like the world is still taking place. The story is still
It's like
happening.
continuing on, right?
Yeah, it's still continuing on, even if you are not actively taking a part in it. And the fact that you've just put that into your merch is like insane.
Well, like I think it's that kind of thing earlier where I was saying like having like a lot of interests really can feed into different things in different ways. Because like one of the biggest inspirations from it was the York New City arc from Hunter x Hunter, which is just this fucking insane, just like chain reactions of events to the point you get to the end of it and it's like, what happened? And it's like, I don't fucking know, you know. But like, and like, it's so chaotic and insane, and it has like insane anti-climaxes and everything.
Yeah.
But because Togashi has like thought about these characters so much, it all works, and it's so compelling. And I love that idea, you know. And I was like, I want to make a T-shirt out of that, you know.
That's kind of like what some of my favorite moments, like One Piece, isn't like the actual arc. It's when like the arc ends, and then it like kind of like you get a hint about what else has been going on in the world.
It's the meanwhile, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, and then you realize, holy shit, people are fighting fucking wars, and Luffy is just like chilling on this
there's
island.
One particular part, and it's when I think they get back from the Sky Islands,
right?
And there's like an episode or two which is just all the chain reactions that have been happening. And I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, oh shit, this is insane. You know,
for sure.
It's like, you know, you kind of realize, oh, maybe Luffy isn't the main character for like a moment, right? You're that's like One Piece is like fucking 30 main characters, and
totally.
everyone's just like doing their own things. That's just what I love about One Piece, I guess.
Absolutely.
So whenever you guys mention me on this podcast, I get a flood of messages. And it's always interesting because I remember one of the ones, Garnt, was your story about someone thinking we're the same person, or thinking one of my videos was your videos, and you getting into like an argument on that behalf. But I always think it's really funny when that happens. And there was one story I had that I just loved, and I think I might have told you guys this before,
Right.
but it was a guy at Magfest, and it was just a regular meet and greet, and you know, he'd been queuing up for like an hour or something, and then he's like, I really loved your videos on Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Did I tell you this?
I remember this story.
I never heard the story.
Did I tell you, Connor?
No, I haven't heard this story.
So I'm like, oh, I don't think that was me. And he's real adamant. He's like, no, it was. And I was like, it's not, because I've never watched that show. And so like
he's doubling down.
and he's doubling down. And but then I say that and I just see him like collapse, and he's like, oh no, and like that's what he starts saying. Like he's really, I'm like, who? It's not a big deal. Like who cares? You know. And then he's like, I'm so sorry, and I have to be like, no mate, it's all right, it's fine. Like it really doesn't matter, you know. And so eventually he recovers, and he just goes, okay, I just want to say, I really love your What's in an OP series.
Which is also not from you.
No, that is Jeff too, Mother's Basement.
Mother's Basement, another anituber.
And so I'm just standing there, and I just go, thanks, man.
I think I would do the same.
That was the correct answer.
And my favorite part of the whole thing is later on, he spots me at the con, and he's like, he brings his friend over, and he's like, this is the guy. And I'm like, hey, Jeff Thu. Nice to meet you. Have you guys ever had stuff like that?
Oh, all the time. Every other day. So me and Joey get like, people like confuse us all the fucking time.
Really?
Yeah,
so many times.
In fact, it it most recently happens at Gamescom, when I was filming an official video for like a new Hoyoverse game. and the guy running the booth comes up to me and goes, "Oh yeah, you working with us today?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I love your stuff, the anime man."
That sounds like such an unnatural way to like greet
I can't
someone.
remember exactly.
I love you. Full screen.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, are you the anime man? Are you here to work with us?" And I'm just like, I'm not the anime man, but I am here to work with you."
Yeah, my other favorite one with Garnt and I was in Singapore, AFA, which was like back in like 2017 or something. And I was guesting there, and because Garnt at the time was still living in Thailand, he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll pop over and come hang out with you guys." So Garnt and I were just walking around at the convention. This dude far off in the convention just like eyes me directly, and I'm like, okay, that's probably a fan. So I'm waiting for him to come over. He comes over to me and just has the biggest fucking happy face, and he just goes, "Oh my god, I love you, Giguk." Meanwhile, Garnt is standing right here, right next to me.
It is impressive how confident people will be about this stuff.
And I just felt
it's crazy.
I just felt so bad just being like,
There's this weird thing that happens when you show your face a lot online, where people recognize you, and they can recognize you, but they can never tell you like where they recognize you from.
Yeah.
And that one's always the weird one. But I've also heard that I started doing this because I heard some other people were doing this too, where someone would be like, "I'm a huge fan," and then you would proceed to go, "Name one of my videos," or name something.
You're a fan? Name 5 Sea Dog videos.
Well, I was curious one time, and I was like, "Oh yeah, which one?" And they named one of Joey's videos.
What's scary about this is probably actually really common, and we just never asked what the video.
Probably.
Yeah, because you've probably never asked people, and they've probably been like, "I'm a huge fan," and they probably just. I mean, it's. Listen, I don't need someone to justify being a huge fan to come up to say hi. Right?
Listen, if you're going to approach Connor, you better have your fucking shit together.
No, but just don't specifically say I am a huge fan if you are not a huge fan. No, I'm not going to ask most of the time. Like, yeah, whatever.
And like, I'd say like. You only ever tell the weird stories, right? Because like 99% of people are so lovely, but even I remember like the first fan I ever met was still one of the strangest interactions I had.
Oh, really?
I can't remember if I've told you this. You guys are not. This was like very shortly after like my face reveal. A guy came up to me and he was like, "Super Eyepatch Wolf," and I was like, "Oh, that is the name of my YouTube channel." Like I had no like flow, or I had no idea how to handle this interaction. And then he goes, "Oh man, love your videos." And then he kind of goes, "Just so you know, I'm straight," which immediately I was like, and then he just goes, and like he says it so casually, he just goes, "But I'll suck your dick."
damn.
And I was just like,
joking?
He said it in a way that was really just like, this is not a weird thing to say at all. And so I just kind of went like, well, good to know. I'm cool, but thank you for watching my videos.
I just like, you have some like the wildest stories of like some fans, considering you do like just like video essays, like I've seen obviously, with some people who show their face a lot and do kind of like maybe content like ours where you get like a relationship or like a parasocial relationship. But you just fucking started talking about anime and making like cool, interesting stuff. And so you have some wild stories sometimes, which is why I was very surprised when you went to AX this year. You did not like you just did like a meet and greet in public.
It had been like pre-pandemic since the last time I'd done that, and I thought like this will go fine.
Yeah,
and it was fucking not. It just we got moved immediately, and then immediately, and then it was a fire hazard immediately. It was I felt so bad because I was like, I said, but I think the lesson there is don't fucking do that.
Yeah, because I remember like we had our wake up call in MCM last year.
Yeah.
Because you never want to like admit that you got to be like, no, I need people to manage. Like,
yes,
we don't need security.
Yeah, I don't need like I don't need security. I don't need people to manage my fans. That's like I'm one of them. You know? You never want to admit that you've gotten to the point where you're like, oh shit, this is beyond my control now.
Yeah, and like I think even on my way to that meetup, I was like, something doesn't feel right here. Like this might be a bad idea.
How many people showed up?
So I don't know, because the first one was shut down immediately. I didn't even get there, and so then we had to move it to a second place, and people started showing up, and it wasn't even that many people. But like one of the con workers were like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I just moved, and then had to move to a third. And like by that point, there weren't that many people, because it was just like I think
you moved it 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah, but
it's just a treasure hunt at that point to find you.
Yeah.
I've noticed you've been showing your face more often as well.
Yeah, I kind of just, there's more you can do, and there's more jokes you can make. Like sometimes I write a joke and I'm like, this will be funnier if you can see my face. You know. But I think part of that is just like I like trying new shit. You know, and I like just kind of,
It's respectful.
if I don't do that, I'll get bored. And I've always felt like the biggest danger to my channel, like it's not YouTube, or it's not like, you know, just weird shit you can't control. It's me losing interest, and so I have to do my best to keep it interesting for me, which is why the topics I do tend to kind of vary so much.
It's that fear of like getting into a routine, right?
That's why I stopped making the why you should watch videos that I used to make, because I was like, it got to a point where it felt like I could pull some levers and shit out of video, and I hated that. You know what I mean?
Everything's got to be a struggle.
If I'm not in some amount of pain, I'm not doing it right.
What do you think about this new like current trend of just video essays? Okay, so you've made some long video essays before, right? Can't imagine how much work they take, but I've noticed a trend where video essays have just gotten longer and longer, to the point where it's just like now we have like a 4-hour video essay. And
what do you mean? There's like 8 hour.
Yeah, like it just
and yeah, it's a lot.
Dude, I watched the 6.5 hour Tokimeki Memorial breakdown video,
Which is like one of the best
which is
videos
one of
all
it was
time.
amazing. It was so good.
Incredible.
See, I don't even know what that is, but I'm willing to give it 6.5 hours, because if someone is that passionate about a topic that they're willing to do 6.5 hours of editing, then I will watch it.
It's by Action Button, and that's the guy who makes that's called Tim Rogers, and he's been a journalist for like ever. So like he really knows his shit, and he is really knowledgeable, and he's the perfect kind of person to make a video like that. He's also just really fucking funny and stuff. I hate that guy. Just I watch his videos and I'm like, God fucking damn it. But in terms of like the like larger trend, to be honest with you, like I'm never gonna make an 8-hour video, but hell, if someone can do it and keep it compelling, more power to them. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of bad...
I didn't know someone could make a 2-hour Garfield video. So,
but I mean, like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of bad 8-hour videos. I'm sure there's a lot of bad 1-hour videos. I've probably made some of them. You know, it's like
Bleach fans be like, oh well, actually,
But I think it's very easy with YouTube to get caught up on what other people are doing. And I think ultimately, like, the healthiest thing is if there are just lots of different videos being made in lots of different ways and lengths and styles, and like they're not all going to be for you, but they don't have to be.
It used to be that, like you mentioned earlier, like if you made a Bleach video or you made an anime video, but you were normally the one video, and it's kind of getting, it kind of used to be like that generally about a topic, but now when there's like a kind of a cult game or a cult kind of piece of media, everyone's kind of scrambling to make a long form essay video about it. Is that something you ever like have to consider, or if someone else makes a video, you're like, oh, I can't make my video? Or
no, because I feel like if I really make a video right, no one else would have made that video the way I would have made it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, because like I'm never gonna do like a review of Starfield, because I don't fucking care.
Absolutely.
You know?
I don't
it's like
know
I'm never gonna make a video I don't really give a shit about it, and if I really give a shit about something, it's not going to be like anyone else's. And that's not unique to me. That's like anyone who's really going to put their own individual take on a video.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, sometimes you've made a video and I'm like, fuck, John can do it better than I ever could. Fuck, I can never make it. Yeah, your Baki video? I'm like, well, fuck, I can never make a Baki video again.
I would fucking kill for a Giguk Baki video. What are you talking about? That's insane.
Bro, you did it so well though, man. You did.
Yeah, but like I did it well because you're watching the end product of what I did. If that went through your pipeline and your dude, that video would be fucking hilarious. What are you talking? Make a Baki video.
Shut the fuck up, make a bucket video.
First of all, boys, you're both
get
fans of each other. Okay,
Yeah.
you can
Stop
both
sucking
make
each
the
other's
videos.
dicks,
All
all
right, you both make good videos.
no. I just want to see him make a Baki video.
That's why he's the GOAT, man. That's why he's the GOAT.
Has there ever been someone who is in your community who has just been extremely persistent, emailing you to make a video about one topic and has not given up?
Oh, constantly, yeah. There's one guy, and I think it's like this Lego thing. I think it's called Zoids.
Yeah.
I have been getting emails from him for about 6 years. And I'm like, I never know what
a
this...
Zoids video from you would be fucking awesome.
I don't know anything about it, and I just look it up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. And he's real. But like the thing I always say is, do you know who should make a video about that? Him.
Yeah,
and it would probably rule.
Yeah.
You know, if he took a fraction of the time he spends writing me emails and made a video about it, it'd probably be class. You know?
That's you brought up a very interesting point with how you started YouTube, which is if we've said anything to piss you off in our videos,
make a video.
Let it cook, and then just do a John and just make a video.
Make a video.
And then
And then career out of it.
Yeah, man, and make a career out of it.
Totally.
You know,
End up on an extremely successful podcast for reasons you're not quite sure of.
no, do you ever miss like old anitube? Like
No.
Me too.
I mean,
I feel like anitube though is because our audience is so new and so different. I feel like it doesn't hold the same weight. I think that
It doesn't, no.
to you that it might have to the audience.
I mean, anitube for a time was actually a genuinely, I think, really special, interesting thing. And like, you know, a lot of great videos came out about that, and like it did really deepen a lot of my understanding about anime and like just how to appreciate media in general.
yeah.
It's also just a lot of bullshit.
A lot of petty bullshit.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of like,
And-
well, I think this, and it's like, okay, that's cool, and then it's like, well, no, argue with me, and it's
well, the whole space is matured, right? I think
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
happens
so.
when people start making their livelihood on it. You're like, actually, no, I don't want to ruin someone's job
Yeah.
or life
Yeah.
Totally.
or get in fights with people. I feel like I just want to work.
And like it does get to the point as well though where like it is hard to deal with any kind of like conflict in a fair way, because I don't know if you ever have that thing where like someone will like, I don't know, say something dumb on Twitter, and then you'll be like, you tweet back and you're like, listen mate, you're being silly, and then like 40 people who follow you are like, yeah, he's right, you're being silly and you should fucking die. And it's like, well, now I didn't say that. You know,
You're really paraphrasing what I just said.
No, yeah, that's why I sometimes you get a comment and you're like, I want to respond to you.
Yeah.
But I would like, maybe that's why some people have alt accounts, you know? So because
alt account is weak.
Sorry?
It's weak to have an alt account.
Yeah, but sometimes I just want this person to know that I disagree with him without millions of like my like it almost feels like when I have like followers that back me up, I'm like, guys, I don't need your help. I got this, okay? I got this, okay? Don't worry, don't worry.
There's always going to be that your platform and size behind it there, regardless if it's an alt
No,
or not,
exactly.
right? So it's
but
you
like,
you live with.
I have like responded to people like a bunch of times, and like more than I should have, and every time I always think it's going to feel great, it always feels just bad.
Yeah, that's right. You just don't. You just don't.
Yeah.
You just sit there and you let it stew.
But there's
It sucks.
that instinct, you know, where you just see like a really shit take and you can just feel the vein in your forehead thicken.
Yeah,
and it's just like, God, I just want to
Out of that fury comes like a clever comment, and you're like, oh,
It's like, I just thought up of a great dunk.
Those 5 minutes where you've drafted the tweet, but you don't post it, are the most powerful mental
There's
fortitude
actually
you have.
a wrestler who I think has found this really beautiful solution to this. Whenever anyone talks shit to him on Twitter, he goes on their profile, he finds a picture of them, he copy and pastes the picture and just replies with that.
That's so cruel. It is often the people who have like the most weirdest fetish porn shit on their account that talk the maddest shit.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I remember a guy tweeted something at me that was rather insulting, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I clicked on his profile and it was like inflation porn only, and I was like, what the fuck? Okay, this
Connor,
guy.
you're dealing with a man who has nothing to lose.
Yeah, I'm
How am I
like,
supposed to combat
I'm
this?
like, what the fuck is this? I can't. What the hell am I supposed to do? What the? Yeah, I was done.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's a meme, but it is always the anime profile pictures as well. It's,
It's the Kyoto animation profile pictures.
oh, it's
You know that's all too well, John.
I'm getting fucking war flashbacks. Never understood the like overlap there. Just these really positive anime about these girls learning to play music and befriend each other. It's just the fucking most insane people you will ever meet.
yeah,
I love it.
and you can always tell when you piss off like a fandom because I just there's just some sort of irony in here where it's just a person criticizing you for talking about Bleach or something, and it's just like the most obvious Bleach fan account who just like goes home, sleeps, worships Kubo.
Yeah.
I remember one time the best example of this I've ever gotten was someone got really mad at my Shenmue 3 video.
Yeah.
Wasn't this a bad game?
And I think so. And
I thought the critical consensus was that it's bad.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah,
what are the
sure,
critics?
sure, yeah, sure,
Anyways,
yeah.
but like, look, if someone is not like delegitimate for liking that game.
no,
like,
no,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that, but this person, they had Shenmue in the title of their thumbnail, but they kill. But I responded back to them just being like, okay, person with Shenmue in their tag. But then when I looked at their profile picture, it was them with Yu Suzuki, the maker of Shenmue. So this person, I think it's Yu Suzuki, maybe I'm fucking that up. No, it is. It was so like
actually.
yeah, like it was them at a fan meet and greet with that person. And look, that guy loves Shenmue.
Yeah.
You're never going to change that man's mind.
No.
Was it ever a video you started making and thought, no, I just can't finish this one, or that you just didn't, you scrapped it for whatever
So
reason?
my second video ever, and that's the
okay.
only time it's happened. I'd done the Hunter x Hunter video, and I was like, okay, now I'll make and I didn't really talk about Killua in the Hunter x Hunter video, even though I fucking love that character. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll make a Killua video because I've already recently reread and rewatched a bunch of Hunter, and like it'll everyone who already likes Hunter x Hunter will watch this video then, and like that'll work.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but I don't want to. And then I was like, and I don't want to be like the Hunter x Hunter guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm more excited to make a different video. And then I made a different video, and that's kind of been my whole career.
What's the video you've spent the most time on? Because I like, even for me, doing a half-hour video is just, I dread it sometimes. Just like even the half-hour runtime, I'm like, this is so much fucking work. You've done like 2-hour videos.
I would say
before.
probably the 2-hour video. So I had 2-hour videos. One was the unreality of pro wrestling, which was relatively recent,
Right.
or maybe that was an hour and a half. I can't remember. But probably the biggest one was why you should still read Berserk. Which was an absolute fucking journey to make that video.
Yeah, because there are some shows where I want to make a video on, but I just like I sit down to just like try and start writing the script, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this justice. Some like I'm sure people will think I do it justice, but I proving it to myself that I can make
But if you weren't a little bit afraid. Like I have to be, I have to feel that to make a video, I like that, like, fuck, I don't know if I can pull this off, like that will make me make a video, because you just gotta ride the fear, Garnt.
So I've done that a few times, but it's just like, it's been one of those videos where I write a sentence, and then it's like a year-long process of me like psyching myself up to do this, and then I do it, and then I'm like, okay, that was great, and then I'm like, but I gotta do it again, baby. Do it all over again.
That's me with this fucking Oyasumi Pun Pun video I've been trying to write for like 4 years, and I just can't. Every time I rewrite or reread the script, I'm just like, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because like it's such an important series for me, where
And
it's
like a difficult one to write about.
a difficult one to write about too, especially without like giving away spoilers and stuff like that, So it's just like, I've just been sitting on this video for like 4 years. I still get people coming up to me every now and then being like, So that Poon Poon video.
This is why
Where's it
I
at?
hate talking about stuff I'm working on. Cause
Yeah.
Because sometimes, something just happens and something doesn't pan out.
Yeah.
And then people are really excited about it. And I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
And I could just pleasantly surprise them when it comes out. You know?
That's why I've stopped. That's why I've stopped doing that as well.
Yeah.
It'll come out when it will come out, and if we gotta cook, we gotta
I
cook.
don't even tell them it exists.
Yeah.
It comes out. It comes out.
Totally.
It doesn't.
So, on that topic, is there anything you want to do that you haven't been able to do on YouTube yet, or anything like any dreams that you want to do?
So yeah, there's some stuff. I really want to do a video on the movie Jingle All the Way, which
I
is
love
the
this film.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah, this is-
Christmas movie, and legitimately one of the greatest movies of all time.
I love the lengths they go to in that film to
Yep.
get a fucking toy.
It
It's so good.
is a good movie.
Fucking
Oh,
brilliant.
actually, I think I've rewatched that recently.
Yeah, I've rewatched it recently every year for 30 years. Oh no, don't. Okay, we can't put that on there.
we can't put that on there.
Yeah.
Talk shit, find out. Wow, yeah, he really does have Shenmue in his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an amazing film. Now that I think
And
about
then
it.
I also made, I think probably the most unhinged video I ever made was called Space Jam 2 is a Lie.
Oh my god, I love that.
And I have a video that is a sequel to that video. But when you click on the video, you won't know it's a sequel to the Space Jam 2 video until like 40 minutes in. And that to me would be like so fucking weird, and it makes me so excited to do it, but it's like, it's kind of things need to
insane.
yeah, it would be, and I'd love that because I know a certain percentage of my audience would fucking hate it. That always makes me pretty excited.
You're just like, at some point, I think you're like the most eloquent fucking anime essayist or fucking just video essayist on the fucking YouTube. And sometimes I just think you're a massive troll, and I can't decide which side of the fence you are.
I don't know.
I have a question. Where did you get your narrating style from?
It's a really boring story. But like, so I started doing YouTube, and I just didn't know how to talk, and so it's just real monotone. But then I started getting comments from people who English wasn't their first language, and particularly people who English wasn't their first language who had learnt English in like America.
Right.
And they were saying that like, I can't really understand you a lot of the time. Could you slow down? And so I started slowing down, but then like when I started talking slower, my voice kind of dropped an octave, and then that kind of became like this, and it just naturally went that way. And it's weird because like sometimes like whenever I see like one of my videos pierce like outside my bubble, I see so many people being like, why does he talk like that? You know? And like Joey, I saw you recently, or not recently, but I got sent the clip of you saying that I talk too slowly in videos, and that you speed up
But the thing is, no, okay, because sometimes I'm just like, all right, I really want to know what John's gonna say on this topic, but I know the speed at which Super Eyepatch Wolf talks, and sometimes I don't have 2 hours to kill. Okay, so I'm just like, sorry, John, I'm gonna up it just a tiny little
See,
bit.
Joey, I know that you do that now, so I have been narrating all my videos at 0.75 speed.
So even slower.
So that you are watching at the correct speed.
God damn it.
I think like ultimately at the end of the day, it's the way I like to narrate videos. And like, I get it's not for everyone, that's cool, but like, I don't know if you guys can tell from my videos, I stopped trying to please everyone a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, totally.
And I just like making them the way I like making them. If people want to watch, that's cool. If people don't,
I just love the Jerry call out.
oh, I've had that cooking the entire podcast.
Finally on the show now, I can say it.
I mean, do you feel that it's? Do you care if anyone watches it like 1.25 or 1.5, or is it just like?
Oh, not really. Like, fuck, life's hard. Do what you gotta do. You know, like if
I know some
if you
people
want
are
to
like, no, the creative integrity, the timing. I'm no time to, you know.
Hey, it's not every video I do that with. Okay, it's only the long ones.
But no, I mean, like, look, if my videos provide any fucking enjoyment to someone, enjoy them however you want.
Hey, I still watch them all the way through. Okay, so you got to give me credit for that.
This code level.
Unlike this guy,
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped
First 2 minutes and exits out.
It was the one, you know which one I distinctly remember which one it was. It was the one where you talked about a horror manga with a girl or something, and someone dies, and they were coming. Yeah, and I was like, this sounds fucking sick. I'm gonna read it, and I just didn't. and every single time I think about reading it, and I like, man, I can't keep clicking on this video and clicking off it. Like, this is psychotic. YouTube's gonna think I hate this video. So yeah, I gotta read it. I will.
It's a fantastic manga. You should read it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
next
like, you want
time
to talk about like human horror.
Yeah, that's why you really sold me on the concept of it, and for some reason I just haven't read it. I guess the next time you come on the show, I will make sure I've read it. That's a promise. I promise.
Yeah.
I just have to click on and off your videos. And
So I'm gonna try and not do that as much.
Yeah, you're killing me here, Connor.
I think YouTube though will automatically put, and I don't know why it does this for me. It'll keep replaying your goddamn liminal space video for me. Like I will leave my YouTube on the side, and then 2 hours later, whatever, I've left it for some reason, I'm back and I'm an hour into liminal space.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, they really want me to watch Sean's
if
videos.
it helps, like I have like a personal account on YouTube,
You just
and
replay it?
it constantly recommends me my own videos, and my reaction is always like, "Oh fucking god, I hate this guy."
I just don't understand why it keeps recommending me this one video. Like I'm obsessed with I don't even watch anything about liminal spaces. I never watched it.
Well, how would you know if you don't like it? If you haven't watched it,
No, I've seen it, but I clearly don't search out for it or click on many of the videos. It's just for some reason your goddamn video keeps getting auto played for me.
I click off 2 minutes in. Every single time.
I keep telling it this video's not for me. But I did that for like someone else as well, and it kept replaying the like H Bomber Guy Roblox video. I don't know why. I would finish a video and it would autoplay that video, and even though I'd watched it, great video, but it was
that's me. Like I think I've talked about this briefly before. But that's me, and like
you should look out for this. I swear it does this. I swear YouTube does this. It'll keep autoplaying one video.
Yeah, so I fall asleep to like certain videos.
Me too.
And like recently it's been like the history of the universe, where it's kind of like I've told us about this before. I don't think I've finished a single video because they're about an hour long. I get 20 minutes in, and then I'm asleep.
That's right. You get so much mileage out of one video.
Yeah.
Because I've fallen asleep 4 separate times.
And then I'm like, all right, this time I'll get further. I get like 25 minutes, and then I'm like, I don't remember anything about the rest of the video. So one time I'm going to like finish a video and know what the end of the story is. But until then, it's great. It's very, very interesting content, but also it's just so good to sleep to.
Yeah, it's so calming, right?
Yeah, it's so calming. Yeah. But yeah, John, thank you very much for coming on Trash Taste today.
Oh, guys, a pleasure, genuinely.
Yeah, he
Anything
flew
you wanna shout out?
from Ireland just to come here to our London studio today.
Yeah, it's only like an air flight. It's fine.
No, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
When you come to Japan, you can come on again.
Yeah,
totally.
happily. No, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming to our show as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything you want to shout out?
Sure. You can find me on Super Eyepatch Wolf. I also do have all my streams on regular Eyepatch Wolf and eyepatchwolves.com for
Get the merch.
my
Get the
merch.
merch.
And
Hell yeah.
no, if you're interested in a weird concept that barely makes sense on a t-shirt,
Hell yeah.
What a pitch.
but yeah, no, thanks so much, guys. This is
Awesome.
I mean, this
So
has been,
glad
it's
to
been
have
a
you
long
on.
time coming. We've all been close friends for a very long
sure.
time. And I'm glad I got to gush about OG Anitube for a while before it's completely lost in the dust.
But hey, look at all these patrons though, John. Do you see all these patrons on screen?
Oh,
Point to
man.
your favorite one.
Oh, it's got to be this one. What a scamp!
Actually, that guy
Seems like a good-looking bunch.
This is a Shenmue fan, actually.
Yeah.
Fuck, really?
Oh.
Is it the guy from earlier?
Well, that's a Bleach fan, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
God damn. But hey, if you want to support the show, then head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/trashtaste. Also follow us on Twitter, send us some memes on the subreddit, and if you hate our face, listen to us on Spotify. And yeah, obviously go check out John's stuff. Links in the description below.
And
Thanks for coming
we'll
out,
see you
man.
guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.